This video continues where the previous one left off. There's very clearly a story here, right? And anytime you can show someone with emotion, it really draws people in and makes them want to know why, want to know what's going on. I believe this was the Democratic National Convention 2016 when they found out that Hillary Clinton had not won the presidency. There's a festival in Spain where they run through the streets and smash tomatoes, and so this is just a really interesting documentary photo from that experience. These two young men playing. Okay, architectural photography is when we take pictures either inside or outside of a building. And on the right, the image here shows the museum, a museum. And you can see one of the really interesting things is to lead the eye back, right, with leading lines. We're using leading lines to lead back, or the arches, right? So the person who took the photo didn't just stand in here and take a picture of her looking at this. And she looks like she's taking a picture of this painting, but they framed it with the architecture of the building. I love this. If you want to take photos like this, you have to do this either in the morning light or in the afternoon light. Otherwise, if you take it in the middle of the day, the reflections don't work. And if you get, basically, you put your camera, you see the building in here, where the photographer's inside this room. You put your camera up against the glass and then you just kind of rock it until you see outside and inside at the same time. And I've done this several times with just even my phone. You can do this. Go downtown Atlanta and take images by putting your camera or your phone up against the glass, and then just move it back and forth until you can see outside and inside at the same time. And that's pretty much what this is. This is the outside of this inside. It's really, really cool. They did this half and half, the old versus the new, modern versus very, very, very ornate, Rococo, Gothic. Can't quite tell what that is. Architecture. This is somebody standing inside a dome looking up, and the kids are on top of the dome looking down. And a really, really cool photo. This is an abandoned building. All the trash inside of it. And then the dog came in. And this photo without that dog wouldn't work. The dog becomes the focal point. You need a subject. You always need a subject. So when you're shooting architectural photography, you need there to be a subject. Now, it didn't have to be a dog. It could have been a chair, or the person could have gotten closer to the ground and used some of the garbage to tell the story. But you really you need something that tells a story. Obviously, there's a story here, but the dog coming in and looking at the garbage helps take it to that next level. It makes it more than just some random space, but also artistically, you need the subject, and the dog becomes the subject and the focal point. Same thing here, right? Without these people, you have no sense of scale either, right? The dog here, there, and the people here, even though they're leaving, they give you a sense of scale. You get to see how massive this is. And so it's really important, because if you cover that up with your finger, you'll see that you have no sense of scale. You don't know how big this is. By the people being in there, because we know how big a person is, roughly, it helps you understand the connection. Now, we know what stairs are, so we don't really necessarily need a person in here, but this is kind of an interesting spiral repetition. More repetition. You're going to see be able to find a lot of really great repetition in architecture, right? So we have the repetition, and then the light coming in. This is obviously architectural photo, but what would have made this a whole lot better is if there was someone swimming, or sitting, or about to swim, or someone jumping in. It would have taken this to the next level. There's a lot going on here. This is someone who has walked up to the glass, looked up, and shot both reflections. These are all reflections. Below this line is reflection. And then this is the rest of the structure. And it just really creates this very beautiful pattern. And this one's all about pattern. And that one gold pane creates that focal point that you need. Reflections off of the sky into the building create this really cool radial. Right here's your center point, and from here everything radiates out. It's really cool. You can do a lot of really cool things with reflections, looking for ways to use mirrors to bounce off light off the mirror to create images that are complex, that most people wouldn't walk up this close to a building and take a picture. And I do it all the time just because you see things that get great shots that you wouldn't otherwise. Just repetition in a building. This is just zoomed in close to a building, and you can see all these really great reflections. And the nice balance here is between the old of the architecture that's being reflected in the building and the modern building that has these interesting panels on it that are reflecting. This is always a really cool thing to do because the reflection can distort the buildings that you see. So taking pictures of architecture in other buildings, architecture in architecture, can create some really cool abstract design. Macro photography is a close-up image of an object. It's meant to show detail. Then you need certain lenses to do this. It's also referred to as micro photography because you're shooting very, very tiny things. Now you do need specific lenses to be able to get these shots. A regular standard lens doesn't let you get this close. And as you can see, everybody's seen a ladybug, how close you can get with that lens. Beautiful shot. This is just some oil and water, and they just zoomed in on things. This is a great thing about macro photography, is that you can zoom in very, very close to things and get pictures that most people wouldn't even notice. So you can shoot common everyday things and show them in a way that allows people to see something they hadn't seen before. And I've done this where you just go into an aquarium where there are frogs, and you can get really great close-up shots through the glass of the frogs. As long as there's no light reflecting off that glass, you can see straight through. And he's on glass because that's how he's holding himself up. And there's one at the Atlanta Botanical Gardens. See the ant drinking the water? There's this whole tiny world out there that most people have no idea exists, and macro lenses let you go look for it and then capture it and share it with others. That's underwater. Some great shot of the eel in the water. And that's another one in a fish tank where he's up against the glass. They got the picture. Beetle in the morning dew. Some insects overnight, when it gets cold, will become immobile. In the morning, when the dew comes all over them, you can get great shots of them very, very early in the morning before they warm up and start to move again. You can zoom in and see the eye, all the detail of the hair of the cats. It's really cool. And these aren't just pictures of objects, right? This especially this one. This was very beautifully planned, very artistic. Got that beautiful background, very well balanced. We're very clear on what the subject is. It's perfectly in focus, and then the eye leads through. Nice shot. macro lets you get up really close to see the face of the insect. Look at their eyes. I always find this very fascinating. They have those little lenses on their eyes. Dorothea Lange, one should really use the camera as though tomorrow you'd be stricken blind, meaning you want to see the world through the camera. This is her, and this is a portrait she took of the artist Frida Kahlo. We won't be shooting together because of the pandemic, so let's skip this one. And we're not going to be doing these. However, if you would like to challenge yourself, here are some great opportunities to do that. So, you want to practice. Before you start working on your assignments, you want to get out there and take a bunch of shots and start practicing. That practice, that experience will help you when you start working on your labs, on your photo shoots, to take great shots, because you'll have had the experience of trial and error, learning what works and learning what doesn't work. And so one of the things that you want to do when you're practicing is have something that you can challenge yourself to do, and use these labs to do that. Use that as an opportunity to learn something new, to document that subject, and to use that for when we get to the documentary photo shoot. And then you'll have had that experience of working with, or just the experience of doing this. Okay, so again, you're not doing this. We're not doing these during the pandemic because we're not getting together. But you can continue to do this on your own, and you can still get the valuable experience of shooting. And then just please be safe when you are. Okay, and we will end this here.